the ruin and moral chaos is corrupting the house of God also. How else do you explain the multiplied numbers of Christians go home and watch HBO, a program I've never seen? I don't have television, but I read about it in the newspaper today, in the New York Times, called The Sopranos. This is a mafia bunch that kill and murder and maim. Gratuitous sex, cheating, lying, mafia. And we have millions of Christians now in the United States getting together and talking about the next show, and they're addicted to it. Addicted. Some of you hearing me now, that's your favorite show. No laughing. This is life and death. Did you come here tonight? Did you raise your hands and sing and shout and have a good time? And you know you've been watching this filth? Now, I believe in the love of God. I've preached mercy, grace, and love, covenant of love. I believe in preaching the goodness and long-suffering of Christ. But multitudes today are being saturated with your okay messages. We've got people now that are turning the grace of God into lasciviousness. We've become like the children of Israel who said the right words. But here's what God said. I've heard the words of this people. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there was such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever. He said, oh, you have the right words. You sing the right songs, but your heart is not right. Nehemiah verses 1 through 3. The words of Nehemiah, the son of Hakaliah. It came to pass the month of Chislev, in the 20th year I was in Shushan the palace, that Hanani, one of my brethren, came, he and certain men of Judah. And I asked them concerning the Jews that escaped, which were left of the captivity, and concerning Jerusalem. And they said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity there in the province are in great affliction and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem also is broken down, the gates thereof are burned with fire. It came to pass, when I heard these words, I sat down and wept, and mourned certain days, and fasted, and prayed before the God of heaven. Here was the word. Here was a delegation from the ruined city of Jerusalem coming to Nehemiah. It said Jerusalem is broken down. The walls are down. There's ruin, nothing but ruin. Now these, I'm sure, were godly men. These were good men, but they had no concept of how God was going to deal with the situation, how he was going to bring about a recovery. They had no concept of what God was going to do. Had no call. All they could see was ruin and brokenness and despair and hopelessness. Verse 4, when I heard the words, I sat down and wept and mourned certain days and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. You see, God found a praying man, and he takes him down into the waters of baptism of anguish. This man goes down into anguish. And in verse 6, I pray before thee now day and night, confessing the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. Both I and my father have sinned. Now, folks, look at me. Nehemiah was not a preacher. He was a career man. He was a king's cupbearer. He was in comfort. He was in royalty. He had it made, so to speak. But this was a praying man. And God found a man who would not just have a flash of emotion, not just some great sudden burst of concern and then let it die. He said, no. I broke down and I wept, and I mourned, and I fasted. And then I began to pray night and day. When I heard, I wept. Why didn't his brother, Nanani, why didn't these other men, who apparently were godly men, because later Nanani was given the rule of the city, why didn't they have an answer? Why didn't God use them in restoration? Why didn't they have a word? Because there was no sign of anguish, no weeping, not a word of prayer. It's all ruin. That's all they could see. Does it matter to you today? Does it matter to you at all that God's spiritual Jerusalem, the church, is now married to the world? That there's such a coldness sweeping the land? So many people I know that were my friends, and I see them go one by one, husbands and wives, into such passivity, going to churches where they can find smooth messages, no longer wanting to hear anything of wrath or of correction. Some of my closest friends, I see them falling by the wayside, and the cry is it nothing to you? Closer than that, does it matter about the Jerusalem that's in our own hearts? The sign of ruin that's slowly draining spiritual power and passion, blind to lukewarmness, blind to the mixture that's creeping in. You see, when spiritual blindness comes, very few recognize it. It's the last recognized thing that happens to a child of God. If I, as a pastor, knew you personally, and I was watching your life, and as one of the pastors of this church, I come to you and say, I love you, but I have to tell you the truth. You're changing. You know what you were. Something of the world has gotten in your heart. I don't